Okay, we're live. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you're all having a fantastic evening. I have as my special guest tonight, I've got the expert of British rock and roll from the 70s and onward. I've got Mr. Simon Williams from the UK. Simon, how are you, sir?
How you doing? I'm good. Yeah. Good. It's Monday.
It's
It's 11 o'clock in the UK.
It's 11 o'clock in the UK. We're keeping Simon
Keeping me up
tonight. Yes, yes. So I'm looking at the chat here. I just want to say hello to everybody that's in the chat. Just want to say hello to we got Stafford Studio, Metal Axe Music. How are you? Jeff Replinger, Jason Wade, Guitar Girl KB. How's it going? R2R3. How are you, sir? Who else we got? Soda Pop.
Bruce, Mr. BHB.
Oh,
Guitar
Bruce.
KB. Hi.
Cool, Bruce. How are you, man?
Soda Pop, yeah. Dave's Our Guitars. Hi. Jimmy T.
Dave,
how you doing?
Guitars. You're ahead of me. Absolute Mayhem.
Yeah.
Absolute Mayhem's in the house. There's Dave R. How you doing, sir? Oh, thanks. Yeah. We got Arvon Gaunt.
Yeah. Hi, Arvon. Hi, Mitch Heyman. How you doing?
Oh, Mitch Heyman's here.
Gussie Wells, yeah.
Gussie Wells, how you doing? Got Dry Heat in the house?
Hey, Dry Heat.
Okay.
I've just realized why Dry Heat is called Dry Heat 480.
Well, yeah, tell me, because I don't know.
480 is the area code. Must be the area code where he lives, isn't it? In Phoenix, Arizona, I think it is.
Oh, is that okay?
See, the rubbish I know.
Yeah, you know too much. Marco's images just popped in. How are you, Marco?
Jamal. Our airport correspondent, Jamal. Hi, Jamal. Jason Wade, yeah.
Jason Wade. Yo, there's Jamal. Yeah, I just caught him. Hey, Jamal, how are you?
Yes, he's our airport correspondent. He can tell us all about
What airport? Do you know which airport Jamal works in?
I think he works in one in Texas, is it? Or have I gone berserk?
Texas?
Probably gone berserk, but hey, whatever.
Hey,
sorry, Jamal. Sent you off to somewhere completely different to where you actually are.
David Ennis just stepped in. How are you?
Hey,
sir?
David Ennis. How you doing?
So we have Simon Williams here from the UK. Gonna have a nice chat with Simon. If anybody has any questions, I'm gonna try to kind of keep my eye on the chat. Keep my eye on Simon and keep my eye on the chat, which is kind of tricky to do. So if they're Thrash Metal just walked in. How are you? If you've got questions,
hey, Thrash Metal.
If you could please put at Guitar Hack or at Simon Williams, that way it'll show up and I can catch it right away. And I'll do my best to try to multitask here.
We'll all try and multitask. Yes, men of a certain age, multitasking is not great, is it?
Well, I just turned 52, so my multitasking.
Oh, well, see, you're a young man.
Yes, so. yes. Yeah, I'm relatively younger. Yes. Yeah. So okay. So Simon. So we're off when we were offline. You were mentioning that you started buying your first records back in the early 70s. Oh, and Dan Sullivan just walked in. How are you, Dan?
Hey, Dan. Yeah. How you doing?
First question that just came up, and it's a running joke. Okay, I'm going to warn you now. Jason Wade is asking, does Simon Williams like Pink Floyd?
I'm British, so I'm playing this with a straight bat, if that means anything to anybody, because I think a cricketing term. The answer is, of course, I love Pink Floyd. I went to see Pink Floyd in 1971.
There you go.
Oh, it's because they were there. Well, and what I was saying to you earlier, they came. Do you know what? They toured Dark Side of the Moon for about a year before it came out on record.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, just because then that's what bands did. You know, they would just go out and
before the record released.
Yeah. They went out and toured it before the record was released.
Wow,
great chunks of it. It was hilarious. So nobody would do that now. That's not true. Some people do it now, but not in I don't think in the same kind of willful abandon.
Well, because you'd alienate the audience. Like, what are they playing? We don't know the songs, right?
Completely, yeah. That's what we're saying. Do some old.
Do some old. Yeah. Brian,
do something we know.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Oh, there he is. Jamal's in Houston.
Oh, Jamal's
right about Texas, but
there you go.
I didn't relocate you somewhere else, Jamal. I'm relieved about that.
He's not getting snowed on.
No,
okay,
no.
so you're mentioning off screen, so that so you got your you started buying your first record. 1971. How old was Simon and how old were you?
I was 13. I was 13 in 1971. I was born in 1958. So and what was the first record you bought? First album you bought?
Wow.
Come on.
I was probably, I'm gonna say 11.
Yeah.
And it was Kiss Destroyer.
Yeah. Well, this is the difference. I bought Jethro Tull's Aqualung. It's my first record I ever bought. And what's weird about it is, on the first track, it had a little jump on it. Yeah, for years.
Oh.
And now I can't hear it.
Without
I get slightly disappointed that it has no jump on it.
I have a similar story. I think there was a defect when I bought the Dynasty record, which came out, Kiss Dynasty, in 1979. And I bought it, and it had a jump, and it was on their hit single, I Was Made for Loving You. And I returned it to the store, and they gave me another one, and it also had a jump at the same spot.
But it's a pressing fault. Yeah,
there was a fault.
And but then you get. I mean, I just got used to this because I had the same copy for years, and I just got used to this jump. And now when I play it, I still kind of go, I still miss the jump, which is crazy. But so my first record was Jethro Tull's Aqualung, and then I bought. Do you remember a Dutch group called Focus? Do you remember them? They mean anything to you?
No, there's a lot of bands that you're probably going to mention that if they didn't, they'd be bigger there than here. Yeah, Focus doesn't ring a bell for me.
No, it's interesting. They were a Dutch band, and they had a couple of hits. They had a hit with Sylvia and Hocus Pocus by Focus. And they were mainly instrumental. So they had a really good guitar player called Jan Ackerman, keyboard player, and who also played the flute. There we are, the only other flute player in rock. Ian Anderson and T.S. Van Leer from Focus. Trivia fans. And they had a bass player and a drummer. But he used to yodel. T.S. Van Leer used to yodel.
Oh, wait a minute. Yes.
I
know what you're talking about.
So that was that's the kind of era that when I was 13, 14. And as I was saying to you, every town in your city in the UK has a kind of, they still do. That's right. Yeah, Jethro Tull, I think, toured with Black Sabbath, Gussie Wells, so with Tony Iommi. So
Tony Iommi was the guitar player for them briefly. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe later. Yeah. But I think he did. Yes, he did. But I was saying that we used to have, every city had a kind of municipal hall. Couple of thousand people, holding a couple of thousand people, and they would put on gigs. And there was a circuit in the UK, and all the bands. So Jethro Tull, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath. Second concert I ever went to, Black Sabbath.
Nice.
And but they cost. I'm saying this to you. They cost 50p, which I think is probably, I don't know. Let's say it's less than $1.
It's a buck
to go and see them.
Yeah.
And so you would go, because, if I earned, I don't know, £3 a week for my paper round or something, I had plenty of money to go and see a gig or two each week. So we would just go and see people. So obviously Deep Purple, Jethro Tull, much more English bands like Roxy Music, Fairport Convention, who were like a folk rock band.
Right.
And just when people would come, we would go. Status Quo being supported by Montrose. Bad Motor Scooter and all of that.
Yeah. So Sammy Hagar was already in that. Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, Sammy Hagar. Yeah. And most famously, there was another Dutch group forming a thing called Golden Earring. They had a hit called Radar Love. Radar Love. I saw them being supported on their first visit to the UK by Leonard Skinner. And let me tell you, no one wants to support Leonard Skinner, because Golden Earring had Radar Love, but Leonard Skinner had Sweet Home Alabama and Freebird, and they ended with Freebird, and they were the only support band I've ever seen got an encore at the Colston Hall, my local hall.
Well, and it's surprising that Leonard Skinner would go over well in England.
Oh no, yeah, no, they did because sort of rock and roll band, everything, sort of southern rock thing. Yeah, the Allman Brothers and stuff. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think I'm talking about that. That you said that you start getting into Kiss and interestingly there was this sort of waves I think in music and in this like all the I was thinking about this the other day all the American bands from the 60s, so like the Doors, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, they'd all kind of finished by 1970. Creedence Clearwater Revival split up. They'd all kind of stopped, and there was this gap which the English bands filled.
Right.
So Led Zeppelin, the bands coming through in sort of the late 60s kind of filled. So Purple, Zeppelin, Jethro Tull, bands kind of filled this vacuum. Then it was a kind of very British thing, that kind of early 70s, Bad Company, very British. And then the late 70s, the UK had a bit of a sort of went off on another tangent.
Yeah.
So it had in 77 it had punk rock.
Sex Pistols.
It had the Sex Pistols, which was which was kind of, it was big over. It wasn't the only thing that was big over here, but it was it was a culturally interesting thing, and culturally big for us. So what's interesting in the 80s, and I've noticed this a lot, that Kiss, even Van Halen and stuff like that, didn't really have. I mean, Van Halen had Jump. Kiss might have had, but they didn't really have many hit records. They weren't nearly as big in the UK as they were in America.
Yeah,
they come here and they do concerts and they do the big outdoor festivals, stuff like that, and people had heard of them, but they weren't that kind of million-selling juggernaut in the UK. I mean, even Van Halen, not really a million-selling juggernaut in the UK, like they were in America. And this is kind of divide, so the UK in the early 80s was kind of, had things like Spandau Ballet, Duran Duran, new romantic stuff, new romantic stuff.
Yeah, Duran Duran, Adamant.
Yeah, that stuff, that kind of post-punk, kind of new wave.
That's what a lot of the punk kind of turned into that and morphed into that, right?
And of course, disco and things like that as well. But but you seem to this kind of divide, and sort of in the 80s. I mean, I was trying to sort of rack my brains and think, so who were the big bands that really, came from America and kind of to here in the 80s? And I couldn't really think of that many. Michael Jackson probably was the biggest single, and Bruce Springsteen. of course, born in the USA in '85. Prince, yes, to some extent, but Prince didn't tour here that much.
Oh, okay.
So it's I don't think. Well, I'll have to have a look. I don't remember Prince ever being at, say, Wembley Stadium for several days and stuff like that.
Wow, that's surprising.
It's
he's pretty international.
He had hits and stuff, and of course, and sold some records here. But there is this kind of weird, just cultural kind of division in the late 70s where we went off on a different tangent slightly.
Dry Heat just made a comment. He says it really took balls to run around in tights and play the flute.
Yeah, quite right. Yes, in 1970, but in 1971, not really a problem, to be honest.
Yeah, anything
a lot of people,
right? So going back to the early 70s, then. So you were seeing. I mean, if it sounds like to me like going to a show is no different than going to the movies on a Saturday night.
Completely.
Right?
Yeah, completely. You turn up. You could often get tickets on the door for some of the lesser things. And I mean, of course, pre everything, pre-internet, the only way you could get a ticket was to go down there and buy a ticket.
Yeah.
In a ticket office. And even Led Zeppelin, I saw Led Zeppelin in 1975 at Earl's Court.
Oh man.
Led Zeppelin, but the tickets for Led Zeppelin were £1.50, £1.50, £2, £2.50.
Yeah.
They were like $2 and $3, to go and see one of the biggest bands in the world.
That's a famous show too, the Royal Albert. That's a famous show.
Not the Albert Hall. This is Earl's Court. The
Earl's
Albert Hall
Court.
Was 1970.
Oh, okay.
The one that starts. Do you know the Led Zeppelin DVD?
I have that.
Yeah. Well, that's not the first concert where he's got the golfing jumper on, with the diamonds on it. He looks like he just come off the bloody golf course. What's
Yeah.
Before he got into the kind of dragon suit and all of that.
Yeah. That's the show that I'm talking about.
Funny, amusingly kind of down home in a funny sort of way.
Yeah, I know. He's not exactly dressed for the
No, it's not. It's like really sort of got a bit odd, really. But it's but to get tickets for Led Zeppelin, we slept out overnight in Bristol to go to a shop called Virgin Records, as in Richard Branson's Virgin, but they had record shops in the 70s. Right. And we had to queue up all night, and you go into Virgin Records and buy your Led Zeppelin tickets. So me and my friend Tony, we slept overnight, sleeping bags, loads of people in a queue outside in this kind of underpass thing, waiting for the shop to open. And that's how you got your tickets.
See, my understanding was that Zeppelin was way bigger in the U.S. and North America than they were in the U.K.
I think by that stage, I mean, how many? I don't know how many nights they did. 5 nights at Earl's Court, which is about 18,000 people. But you see, you're right. In the States, they were selling out stadiums.
Yeah.
And they didn't really do stadiums here. In fact, they didn't really do tour much at all in the early 70s, mid-70s, because they hadn't toured in 1975, they probably hadn't toured for 4 years in the UK. So they concentrated on in America. And even then they played at Earl's Court, which is an indoor arena. It's where Jason Wade, pay attention. Earl's Court is where Pink Floyd's Pulse is recorded. If we could just get the Pink Floyd thing in. Even that's hated, and they only really played outdoors at Nebworth. There's a country house called Nebworth where they have 100,000 people. Yeah, but I think that's their first big. No, they did play they played at Glastonbury when it was called the Bath and West show in 1970, 71. Oh, okay. Famously, they played after Jefferson Aeroplane, and basically I think they went on. There was a sort of bit of rough and tumble about going on when the sun was going down, because obviously that's the best slot. I think it was going down. Yeah. So basically, the Led Zeppelin, Peter Grant, the famous manager of Led Zeppelin, just went and unplugged Jefferson Aeroplane, just like said to right, get them off.
Get out of here.
My boys on now. So they got Jefferson Aeroplane got summarily hurled off the stage by Led Zeppelin's road crew and set up just in time to get the setting rays of the setting sun while you're playing. Fantastic.
No, it's nice. Absolute Mayhem is asking about Queen.
Queen. They came. I saw them on the Sheer Heart Attack tour, 74,
75, I think 74.
74, yeah, quite early, to be honest, when they were still.
Where was that venue?
Was the Colston Hall, in the Colston Hall, which is his local 2,000 venue,
right?
Venue. It's not kind of. It's weird, isn't it? You just think, I saw Yes there, Genesis. I mean, it just turn up. Next place on the tour, and they go to, I don't know, Exeter or
so many great bands, man.
Yeah. But that was the weird thing, the fact that they used to turn up at these kind of, these local council, the municipal owned halls.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah, it's very, very strange, but really cool and really good fun. And I count myself really lucky to have been involved in all of that. And then even through, even the sort of punk era and stuff like that, there's still lots of venues to play. I saw the Clash in 1977.
Oh yeah,
and because they came, and again it would cost a couple of quid to go and see them or something. So, Jimmy, we were in the thing of going to gigs. We went to gigs.
Jimmy T has a question. Simon has seen everyone live, but did he ever see Nick Drake?
Sadly not, Jimmy. I've never seen Nick Drake live. I've got his records.
I don't even know who Nick Drake is.
He was a very sensitive singer-songwriter from the early 70s. He was on Island Records, and he made 2 albums, Brighter Later and Pink Moon. And then I think he committed suicide. Basically, but he was completely unsuited to he couldn't really go out and perform, and basically in his lifetime his record sold about 3 copies,
Right.
But over the years, you know, and he's a fantastic singer, fantastic, you know, very fantastically intricate acoustic guitar player.
Right.
But not big at all. But yeah, over the years, he's literally become a cult thing, you know, so that he's become very well known, and he's influenced lots of people later on, you know, like Paul Weller and stuff, you know, so that, you know, absolutely amazing kind of musician, but not, you know, probably sold in his lifetime, probably sold, you know, a couple of thousand records or something.
Right.
But,
so
you know,
we got. Well, I just want to say we got actually 34 people watching, which is fantastic. And Jason Wade has a question. With all that Simon has seen on his awesome journey, who was his most favorite and memorable? There's a good
probably two. I think it's my two. I mean, obviously, Led Zeppelin in 1975 was amazing. It's actually three. There are three really memorable things.
Mm-hmm.
One is Zeppelin in 75, for sure. Right. The second one is Bruce Springsteen in 1981 at the Wembley Arena, which is probably the best concert I've ever been to. Wow. Never have I seen anything. 4 hours.
I heard it does marathon.
8 o'clock, 12:15, no support. Right, play 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, 15-minute break, 9:15 to 12:15. Never have I seen anything like it in my life. Aged, 22 or something. But that was fantastic, and I absolutely loved it. The other thing is, and I'm very lucky for this, I'm friends with a Bristol group that nobody in here would have heard of, I don't think, called the Blue Aeroplanes. Have you got? Oh, yes, sorry. And they supported REM on a kind of indoor arena tour in the UK. So they played REM played a 20,000-seater place in Birmingham called the NEC, the National Exhibition Centre, and my friend, the Blue Airplane, supported them on that.
That's cool.
So what was fantastic is I got backstage passes and kind of free tickets to go.
Nice.
And let me tell you, there's nothing more thrilling than going up to a box office, a sort of separate kind of box office, and they give you an envelope.
You tell them your name and there's
backstage passes and your tickets for your seats and things. That was just brilliant, and it's your friends, people who are playing it. You go up, yes.
That's cool. EJ's asking if you were into Roxy Music. You mentioned them earlier.
Yeah, I saw Roxy Music touring their first and second album, probably, so 72, 73. And guitargirlkb, yes, I've seen Rory Gallagher, and he was brilliant.
There you go.
He was still, he's another one, still playing with the house lights up. Oh yes, the fact that they all wanted to go home. It's 11 o'clock. I just Dad, forget that. I'm still carrying on. I'm Rory Gallagher. It's so yeah. I've seen Rory Gallagher.
I'm just gonna welcome a few more people that popped in. Fingerless Guitar, how are you? Ed Dana just woke up.
Hi guys.
Welcome. Bass Hiroshima Nick, how's it going?
Yeah. Jeff Underwood. Hi Jeff.
Jeff Underwood. I hope I'm not missing anyone. If I am,
Jeff Ripplinger.
Oh, Jeff Ripplinger's in the house.
Yeah.
How are you?
Absolute Jeff mayhem. How you doing?
On that same tour, 1981.
Yeah. You missed the Dancing Girls, Ed. Lovely. Yeah.
Have you ever seen, I'm going to ask you if you've ever seen Prince, because I'm a massive Prince fan as well.
Do you know, I never have. I haven't seen Prince.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why I've not seen Prince. I don't know. I never quite coincided with when he was here. Yeah. And then whether I could go and see him. I can't remember why I didn't go and see him. I would have done. I have seen John Mayall in the early 70s, R2. Yeah, way back.
There you go.
The great John Mayall.
Yeah, John Mayall. This was this was without Eric Clapton, then I imagine, right?
Oh, God, in the early 70s, yes. But well past the Blues Breakers, all of that, yeah. So he didn't, not Eric, not Mick Taylor, not any of the famous guys. But still interesting to go and see him.
You mentioned Mick Taylor, so I'm going to have to ask you the Rolling Stones.
Oh, well, of course. Everyone. I've seen the Rolling Stones. Yeah.
Okay.
73, something like that. 73. Yeah. Of course, with the best version with Mick Taylor. Slightly contentious. No, I don't. It's one of those things, isn't it? Because there are 3 versions of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
There's the one with Brian Jones. There's the one with Mick Taylor. There's the one with Ronnie Wood. New boy Ronnie Wood, who's been in the Stones for 43 years.
Yeah.
I don't know what point you don't become not the new boy, but really, that's really interesting. I think I like that contrast between Mick Taylor and Keith Richards. So Mick Taylor very much the kind of lead guitarist and did those tremendous and lead licks. I've got Brussels in 1972, which is he's all over it. Yeah. But you see, Keith Richards doesn't like that. Keith Richards wants an intertwining of the 2 guitars, so that you may not know who's playing which bit at any particular point. Right. Which is why him and Ron Wood get on so well together. But and plays well together because that's what he wants. But I think having tried out the Mick Taylor version, he didn't like it. You didn't want the dominant lead player. No, not really. EJ's guitars. No, I've never seen Black Oak, Arkansas. Jim Dandy. I was going to ask you about the speaking of Ronnie Wood. Did you were able to see like the faces with Rod Stewart? Yep. Saw the faces. 72. Oh wow! Fantastically kind of shambolically brilliant. Yeah. A lot of drinking. Lots of drinking went on. Yeah. That's fantastic rock and roll. From what I understand, they were drunk while they were before and during the performance. They were drinking. Yeah, Arvin. Yes, I've seen the Jam. Should we go to New Wave acts? I said, oh no, be here all week. Jam, yeah. I've seen the Jam, Elvis Costello, the Clash, the Damned, the Buzzcocks. Again, because people went on tour. The late 70s, television, the Ramones, the American band, Blondie. My friends, I had some friends who were in a punk band from Bristol called the Cortinas, and they supported Blondie at the Colston Hall. It's that kind of gag, still went on. Yes. Well, you know what I'm going to ask you about if we're stepping into the 80s, another one of my all-time favorite bands is The Cult. Yes, I see. It's interesting. Now, I've not seen The Cult because they're later, you see. Oh, yeah. I think I've seen The Cult anyway, unless in their very, when they were called the Southern Death Cult. Southern Death Cult, which is their very early days. Yes, yeah. I don't think so. No, I have no memory of seeing them. Jason Wade is asking, have you seen the Glitter Band? What is the, I don't even. Oh, don't ask me that. What is Jason, the Glitter Band? Jason, I'll explain. Jason, it's worse than that. My first ever concert. Oh, I know this story. I was. Do you know this? Have you heard this? My first ever concert. I was given this ticket by this friend of mine, Andy Price, because he couldn't go, and it was to go and see a man called Gary Glitter, right? Who was now is completely persona non grata. I mean, he's been in prison for how can I put this? Sort of delicate sexual offences with young girls. Underage, yes, completely. And he's a completely. But in 1971, at the height of glitter, glitter, Slade, Sweet, and all of that. Oh yeah. My friend Andy Price gave me this ticket to go and see him, and I aged 30. I was astonished by this because I was about 10 rows from the front, and this man in his 30s, frankly, not in the greatest of shape. He came on this kind of glitter, hello, I'm back. It's like bloody, and the place went nuts. Yeah. It's like screaming and kind of. I'm sitting there going, it's like completely with my. You didn't get it. With my mouth open with astonishment as a absolute mayhem. Yes, I've seen the Police. Yes, seen the Police in the early days. Dire Straits, I saw them in a little club in Bristol called the Granary. But right. Yeah, so this was the first concert I went to. That Gary Glitter's backing band were called the Glitter Band. Oh, okay, that's why they were called the Glitter Band. And they had some hits on their own without him.
Oh yeah,
In fact, yeah, they're still going. By the way, I've heard of them still playing recently. You know, in the last year or so.
It's funny because like they played, they used to play always at the hockey games. They always used to play that, you know, rock and roll part 2.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Yeah.
Hey.
But ever since the you know, him getting in trouble, you will never hear that song.
You never hear that again. Yeah,
because I'm sure he's getting a nice check because they played that every game. Right?
Completely. Yeah.
Oh, somebody's asking about the Bay City Rollers.
No, certainly not. The Antichrist themselves, the Bay City Rollers.
Yeah.
No, that was it's very interesting. Sorry, let me just. It's very interesting that in 1971, the Bay City Rollers were the what are they? They're the One Direction of their age.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. And basically there was this massive divide. There were like the pop kids, you know, who liked the Sweet, and they liked Mark Bolan, and they liked the Bay City Rollers, and you know, all that kind of teen pop stuff.
Right.
And then it were like the serious rock fans. That terrible, pretentious nonsense. But you know, we used to get these rucksacks from the army surplus stores. You know, the old, and basically you could write, have a second. Rucksack. You could write the names of your favourite bands or paint on these rucksacks. So you think I put Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and stuff, and that was your kind of badge of honour to say you won't have anything to do with that pop stuff because they're basically bloody rollers. You could all walk the plank. But so no.
Jason Wade is asking about the Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees. I've never seen the Bee Gees. No, it's I don't know. Yes, I don't remember. I don't remember them touring in the early 70s. Not in the UK. They must have done a bit. They must have come over for a while, but the odd bits. I think they probably did kind of TV stuff and things like that, and didn't do much touring until probably the later 80s is when they sort of started touring again.
Right.
And but I saw Michael Jackson 3 times.
Wow,
that was amazing. Yeah, well, my wife's a big Michael Jackson fan. But yeah, that's a funny experience. He's the only person I've seen who kind of deliberately did this thing where you could tell there's this barrier between him and the audience. It was like you were watching somebody do something. And it's not that communal rock and roll thing.
Yeah.
You know, where the band are trying to reach the audience and commune with the audience. He wasn't like that at all. He had the dancers, and he had fantastic musicians, Jennifer Patton, you know, all of that, and they were fantastic. But it was almost like watching it on television. You know, it wasn't that much kind of actual, what I would call communing with the audience.
Bobby Clippers in the house. How are you, Bobby? How's it going? Yeah, you know what? We had 39. Now we're down to 36. See,
the Bay City Rollers have sent them all away.
Bay City Rollers, and they'll scatter.
Yeah, they run. But Robin Trower, yes, I've seen Robin Trower. Saw him on the Bridge of Sighs. Brilliant, really cool.
You mentioned Mark Bolan. There's another one that. We almost forgot. I mean, if you're going to talk about that period, David Bowie.
Yes, Ziggy Stardust. Yeah,
Did you see Ziggy?
Yeah.
Oh man,
you're
killing me.
Do you know what? I know it's bizarre. But what's really weird about that is that
Mick Ronson.
Yeah, with Mick Ronson. Yeah, the great Mick Ronson.
Guitar players of all time.
Yeah. And of course, he made a great album with Ian Hunter from Motley
Hoople. There's another.
Yeah, another one. Saw them. Yeah, Motley Hoople, really good.
Man.
Yeah. They're all really good bands. You know, really.
You're like the best bands in the freaking world. Not them, and then of course Zeppelin and the likes, but
But it was that kind of next tier down that were fantastic. You know, and you, as I say, you go one week and see Roxy Music, and you go the next week and see Fairport Convention or somebody, you know, and you just used to go, you know, and people would turn up, and whoever was turning up, you go, well, that's quite interesting, because of course in those days there's no internet or anything. You didn't know what people look like. You've no idea. You might have an album of theirs. If their picture was on the album sleeve, you might have seen them in one of the English music papers, the NME or the Melody Maker. But really, you didn't. It's very difficult to get any information about bands if you didn't see an interview. I have a fantastic example of that. And somebody, as a journalist in the UK called David Hepworth, and he's older than me. He went to school in the 60s. And he was around when Bob Dylan came out, and they spent 6 months calling Bob Dylan Bob Dylan, Dylan, because nobody had heard anybody pronounce his name.
That's funny.
And they just had this bloody record. And it's the same in the early 70s. You know what you saw in the NME or whatever Melody Maker Sounds. You know, on those great music papers.
Press,
You know, you read about, I don't know, somebody, and and you think, oh, there's that guy, I'm going to go and see them. But you wouldn't know what they look like. You wouldn't know, you might have caught, unless you'd bought their record, you wouldn't necessarily have heard any of the stuff. If you bought one of their records, you may not have heard any of the other stuff.
Somebody was, Dry Heat was saying, I guess he saw Stevie Ray Vaughan front row center. Yeah, that is very hard to top. I agree. Did you Ray Vaughan?
No, I don't think. God, I've
never seen him live either.
I don't know whether Stevie Ray did he ever come to the UK? Did he come to the UK?
Well, he was in David Bowie's band for a time, maybe at that point.
Yeah, I think wasn't that he only for a short time, wasn't it? Because he recorded China Girl with him, didn't he? And then he kind of. But he didn't want to do it, did he? He didn't want to do. David Bowie said, "Well, come with me on tour."
He wanted to be a solo blues guy,
Yeah, is that he didn't want to do it really. He wanted to do his own blues thing. So hats off to him for going off and following his own vision for doing it.
I've seen a couple of mentions already. Motorhead.
Yeah, I've seen those.
There you go.
In the late 70s. I mean, late 70s, because they were kind of with that punk thing.
Yeah,
they kind of had that. Yeah. Yeah, Motorhead, remember me now. Motorhead, all right.
Oh, man.
You got to love Lemmy. There's a character.
Oh, Lemmy was the best, man.
And a half.
Like, that record is an absolutely classic record. Their hit record that had...
Overkill and all of that.
I don't even know the name of it. It's the one that's got Ace of Spades. Catch and Ace of Spades.
Yeah. Man. Amazing, but as I say, even into the late 70s and early 80s, we used to go. Again, it was still the same thing. People would come, like the Clash. It would come to this kind of sort of ballroom place called the Locarno. So you go, because it cost £2 to go and see them, or Elvis Costello, or the Jam, or you just kept. It was that continuation of what we've been doing through the 70s, really. Ian during the Blockheads. As I said, some of the American bands as well.
Hit me with your rhythm stick.
Hit me slowly, hit me quick. It's
I remember
all of that. Yeah, lovely. It was a fantastic fun. And
Jimmy T's asking, how's the live music scene in the UK these days?
Well, it's look, here comes some refreshments.
Thank you.
Cool. It's okay, but the trouble is that. That kind of middle tier venue, there aren't that many of them around. There are pubs, there are 500,000 seat, 500, seater audience kind of places, kind of big pubs that do stuff, but they're under increasing pressure because of what happens a lot is that they're in kind of inner city areas. Those inner city areas get bought up by developers who then build flats, houses, whatever.
Yeah,
and then of course we move, and then they complain about the noise. It's like, oh, there's a noise. I don't want that. And then the council come under pressure for because of the residents. It's like, well, you moved in next to a rock and roll pub. What do you expect? So
was it a surprise that it was there?
Right.
It popped up.
It's just appeared, sir. No, it hasn't. And that's it's sad, really, that that's happened, and it's and it's sad that there are not so many that there are, but there are still places to tour, you know, and people still go out and tour, and it's still, you know, it's still.
We're talking about the SRV Bowie thing. So Dry Heat, he was saying that Bowie offered him $200 a night to play. That's like, I can see why he would walk for that. Absolute Mam's got a question. Does Simon in the UK
think
Simon in the EMD pushed rock and roll metal out? EMD?
What's EMD?
Electronic music, I think, is what he's rock and metal out. Maybe electronic music. Maybe that's what he's referring to.
Do you know what? No, I don't actually know. That's an interesting question about. No, I think that it's rock music is much more complicated than that. But I think, you know, I have a theory. Okay, let's see if I can float this. So
go for it.
So I would say that
dance music is EDM.
Oh, electronic dance music, yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Matthew.
No, I don't think it did, because I think that, you know, that even in the 90s there were, you know, rock bands like Oasis, the Stone Roses, and various, you know, there were still rock bands in the 90s. My friends, the Aeroplanes and stuff, you know, so still, I think that, you know, the sort of that thing about, you know, there's still lots of players, guitar players and stuff like that. I think what has changed is that because there aren't, and we were talking about venues just now, and I think it's more difficult for people to start. I think that what happens now is people get, you know, if you want to start a band, what you need to do is have a social media presence. And that's kind of as important as learning to play. I also think that, my theory is, and it hangs into another completely different area, but is the sort of the so-called demise of the guitar, especially among young boys. Now, I have a theory about that, and I'll present it to you and see what you think.
Go for it.
Basically, if we go back to the 50s, yeah. In America, you had rock and roll, so Elvis Presley and you know, stuff like that. In England, we had something a little bit earlier called skiffle.
Skiffle, right?
Lonnie Donegan. Have you heard of Lonnie Donegan?
Yeah, well, I've read all kinds of stuff on the Beatles, so I know all about John Lennon.
Well, all those guys. Jimmy Page's first appearance on UK television was in a skiffle band.
I saw it. He was
12, right?
Yeah.
When he was a kid, yeah. Now, the thing about skiffle is that you can play Lonnie Donegan's or Leadbelly's entire repertoire on 3 chords.
Yeah.
Right? So the whole thing, you could play whole gigs on 3 chords.
Right.
Now that means that the basics are really easy to learn. Yeah? You know, D, A, G. I'm away. I could do a whole gig with that. Now, that's really simple, and that attracts people, yeah, because it's simple. And that whole Richie Blackmore was in a skiffle band, Jimmy Page in a skiffle band, Eric Clapton. They all, in their school days, they all were in skiffle bands. There was a massive skiffle thing. And in America, I think some skiffle, but also rock and roll, which is again 3 chords, easy to play. You think about Buddy Holly, you know, there's not really any solos in Buddy Holly. It's just you know, Peggy Sue is just 3, you know, E, D, and A, E, D. And that thing about it's really simple to play. So that then obviously you go and you get better because you play. But you've got that start when you're a teenager. I would say the next the next version of that is punk. Go back to the start. So 20 years later, then you've got the kids going, right, we're not going to be Led Zeppelin, you know, so everybody who can play 3 chords can suddenly make music, make songs, and you've got a sort of creativity thing going.
That's sort of the whole thing. That's what spawned punk, right? It was basically rebelling against all the big stadium bands like the Led Zeppelin, the Queens, and everything else. And it gave an opportunity for people, like literally, people would join bands not knowing how to play. I mean,
but still being able to do it,
So, and then like, here's a bar chord, go, that kind of thing.
You know, and you go another 20 years or so, and you get kind of grunge, you get Nirvana kind
We're
of.
right back to exactly, yeah.
And then, but that attracts kids, yeah. That attracts teenage kids, boys especially. It's easy to learn, If I can learn 3 chords, I can do a song.
Right.
If I go back to my own beginnings as a guitar player, we could talk about that a bit. But
yeah, I want to get into that.
So I think that what's happened is that that generation, every 20 years, that attracts people. Now, what we've seen in the last, is 25 years since, or 20 years since Nirvana. Where is that again? What's happened is that the guys who started, like people like Eddie Van Halen, immensely technical player, fantastic, unbelievable. But to get to that stage, I'm sure for a lot of boys, especially more recently, that's quite a difficult target, You've got to have lessons. You've got to, and I don't know if anyone else is like me, but that thing. I've seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yes, EJ, I have. Yes, in a theatre, fantastic. But you see, Jimmy T says Sex Pistols were one of the bands that got me playing guitar. I feel like that hasn't happened, and it hasn't happened. The grunge thing was a bit of that, but really those guys who were preeminent through the 80s, especially in America, those amazing kind of guitar players, Fast, and George Lynch, and Eddie Van Halen, and blah blah blah.
Generation of shredding. That's where
a generation of shredding, but that's quite difficult. If you grow up and you go, you see Eddie Van Halen playing Eruption, it's like that's a long way from where a lot of people are. It's not a long way from the start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that a certain number of people that will inspire them. I'm not suggesting it wouldn't, but I think for
challenge,
a mass of people to be drawn into it, then it's going to be too difficult. People are going to go, I can't even do the first 3 notes of it, and they suddenly give up. Whereas, I think with punk, dang, 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 all downstrokes and kind of, the Ramones thing. It's really easy to do. You could pick, as you say, you could form a band without actually knowing how to play.
Well, I'll tell you when I first picked up the guitar, and I knew the bar chord.
Yep.
And with 3 or 4 bar chords, I was playing the entire Nevermind the Bollocks record.
Precisely. Yeah.
And I learned how to play all that stuff. Because it was easy, like you say. And then it's like, that little success of being able to play that.
Then you can progress.
That's like your sort of gateway, if you will, right?
Yeah. Oh, completely. But imagine if you can't approach that with the first Van Halen record.
Oh God, no.
It's like
I still can't play that stuff.
No, well, I'm nowhere near it, but hilariously. Yeah. But that's my point, is because after years and years of playing, I'm still not anyway. You still can't even begin to play that stuff. But I think it's that if you've got too big a gap between your heroes or what you can get into,
right?
Then it doesn't happen. The interesting bit, I think, and it fits this theory, is that this whole thing about the growth in guitars is with young girls.
Yeah.
And Taylor Swift. Now, it seems to me that Taylor Swift is the one thing she isn't is a shredder. Yeah. So therefore, if your hero is Taylor Swift, fine. But you see her and you see her doing 3 or 4 chords. You could play a Taylor Swift song.
That's right.
Without being Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Whereas you can't play Eruption without being Eddie Van Halen. But you see my point. And I think that's really interesting.
I totally get that. So just want to say hello to a few more people that popped in. Matthew Lamoth is here. How are you?
Hi, Matthew. Shona Marisons. Hello, how are you?
I'm not missing anyone. If I am, I apologize. And we've got 38 people watching. This is incredible. Thank you so much, everyone, for popping in. So we're kind of leading to what I also wanted to talk to you about, Simon, which is your playing.
My playing.
Yeah.
Well, I started. You see, all right. If we go back to the early 70s, so you know, I'd always wanted to kind of play the guitar. And we had a very old Spanish acoustic guitar at home. You know, the classic thing. You know,
nylon strings.
It's sad case. You know, nylon strings, completely nylon strings. You know, action. You know, we get the 12th fret. It's about an inch and a half off the neck. Yeah. You know, and so I picked that up. Started fooling around with it. Now, basically, in 1971 or 72, what did you do? I mean, I learned Bob Dylan songs. Because they were easy. It's the same kind of thing, you know. I can play. If I learn 3 chords, I can play Blowing in the Wind. And you know, that classic thing about if you say I'm a guitarist, what do people say to you? They say, "Can you play a song then? Come on, then, play a song.
Can you play a song? Yeah,
play a song." You know, and it's like, you know, it's the eruption thing again. It's like, it doesn't really, you know, in the front room with a bunch of mates, it's not really happening as a thing. But, it's not really happening.
Have you ever tried?
Whereas if you can knock out, no, never. But if you can play, I don't know, you can play something with, you know, those 3 chord things, you know, then people listen, people will join in, you know, that kind of campfire thing kind of thing. So
Beatles were good for that too. There's a lot of Beatles songs.
Precisely. Beatles, Stones, even, you know, stuff
like
that.
Yeah, Stones.
And so, you know, I kind of gravitated, and for a while, and I had this acoustic guitar for a bit, and I was brought up in a household with music. My dad was a composer.
Oh wow! There you go.
See, because look, this is my. If you can see this.
I can see that.
Well, this is a program called. I got the DVD as well. This is a program called Life on Earth.
Yeah.
This is a program called Life on Earth. My dad did all the music for this.
Oh,
this
that's
the
amazing.
First big British. You've heard of David Attenborough, the naturalist.
Yeah.
You know. Well, this is the first big series that he did. 75, 76.
Oh, I remember that.
Well, my dad did all the music for it.
That's terrific.
As a thing, so I'm very proud of that. He was an amazing bloke, my dad, incredible, you know. But he'd been a composer since after the war, basically, and he'd done all sorts of things in the 50s and the early 60s. He used to work for Shell and BP, the oil companies, because they had their own film units. They would go out and do a film about Alaskan oil exploration and stuff like that. I mean, you can't even imagine it these days doing that sort of thing. No. But it's weird, but but true. And so my dad did all these kind of things, you know, and made a living vaguely from being a composer. But in the early 70s, he had synthesizers in the early 70s. My dad. I don't know if you know anything about synthesizers at all. In the early 70s, there was a British synthesizer called a VCS3.
Okay.
Which didn't have a keyboard. It had kind of pins that you made links between various bits of it. It's used a lot on Dark Side of the Moon. All that bits are VCS3s. So he had us, and he got really interested in electronic music. And he did... he did a lot of stuff with electronic. All the Life on Earth stuff is kind of real instruments, but then put through electronic processes to kind of, of change them and things and do all of that. And he was really interested in that. So I grew up in a musical family. You know, sort of. My dad played obviously piano and various things, cello. My mum played the violin, and so I had music around a lot when I was a kid. So I was kind of drawn to it. But so I started on the acoustic guitar, learned some things. This reminds me of Guitar Girl, really. You know, but it's an earlier generation. In the 70s, I'm very proud of him, Shona. Thank you very much. Yes, very proud of him indeed. He was an amazing bloke. But so I had an electric guitar in sort of 74. It was a hideous monstrosity. It was made by a company called Jedson. Goodness knows, it was kind of Telecaster copy.
Right.
But it was never in tune ever. You play it.
See, and that's the thing.
And to be honest, you were tuning it by ear because we didn't have tuners then. But
the intonation was probably non-existent.
Yes, and it's a setup. What's that? Yeah. And I'd never heard of a setup, and kind of never heard of any of it really until much later. So I had this guitar, and it was awful, But I think that some of that could have been me, by the way, not really having any concept of how electric guitar works, intonation, and all of that. I mean, it's just a foreign language, the future. So, and then I had a 12-string for a long time. I had just an acoustic 12-string, which I bought out for my 18th birthday.
Talk about hard to tune.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that I don't know where it is. No, it's not around. But about the same time as I got this 12-string, my brother built racing trimarans, and he came back from America. He used to build them in Maine, Portland, Maine, for the big transatlantic race. You know, the transatlantic single-handed stuff they do. Well, he used to build boats like that when he was 17 or 18. But he bought me this tuner back from America, and it was like a box about the size of a mobile phone.
Right.
I still got it. It still works. It's still fine. And it had a needle that went to 440, and you had a switch that went E, A, D, G, B, E. You had to switch individually. You don't have this polytuner nonsense, like this. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was you had to click the button to the next note, and then it would tune it. And then obviously I could tune the 12-string. Then it kind of it worked. Yeah. And it was quite good, really. It was a lovely guitar. It was only a sort of Echo Ranger 12, but eventually the neck got broken one too many times. The headstock, people would lean it up against something and go down, and then it would snap the headstock. Yeah. After the third repair, that was one repair too long, I'm afraid. So I kind of played pretty much on my own through until the late 80s, and only in the late 80s I met some guys who had a little band, and they said, "Do you fancy coming for a jam?" Yeah, classic. Do you fancy coming for a jam? Kind of.
Yeah.
Right, fine. So it was a bass player and in fact, me and the bass player do a duo now. So the three of us and we had a keyboard player. We didn't have a drummer for a while, so we had a drum machine. I have a funny story about a drum machine. So we decided that we'd get a drummer. So we put an advert in the local kind of free advertising paper.
Yeah, that's how you have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we put this. The advert went, drummer wanted to replace prima donna drum machine. So funny. So when this advert came out, it said drummer wanted to replace prima donna, but it said pre-Madonna, like PRE space MADONNA. It's like,
right.
What? Since when has Madonna been some watershed in drum machines? Pre-Madonna, honestly, it's like. But anyway, so we got our first drummer out of that. So then we were a drummer. But so in 1988, I bought. This is my cue to show off my guitars. I bought this, which I've had for half my lifetime. I've had it for 30 years. This is made in 1988 in Japan. It's a Japanese Fender Stratocaster. Nice. It's my old faithful. It's my, if I had to take one guitar, this is what I'm taking.
That's
I know it like the back of my hand. It's a great instrument. The only thing I've done is I've put disposal locking tuners on it. But,
right.
But that was, I don't know, 400 quid new in 1988. So, and that's been with me for 30 years.
Nice.
So I had another cheaper one as well, a Squire, that a couple of years ago got stolen out of my friend Dave's shed.
Oh.
I don't know if it's basically £100 guitar, $150 guitar. Yeah, so with the insurance money, his bass got stolen as well. His Ernie Ball bass got stolen as well.
Oh, that's a
1,500 quid. Yeah, beautiful bass. And so he claimed for it all on his house insurance, and he got £2,100. And I said, "Well, you buy what you want. If I get more than 100 quid, I'm quids in. That's fine." So we went to our local music shop in Bristol, and I played some Strat. He bought a kind of 1,800 quid bass, so I had 300 quid to spend. So I'm already £200 up on the deal. So I played some Strats, and they weren't really kind of doing it for me. And the guy said, "Well, would you do second hand?" And I said, "Well, what have you got?" So he comes back with this, which is
nice.
Ben likes this, which is an American 60th anniversary Telecaster.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's got a tweed case. It's got all the case candy and everything.
Yeah. That's got a really nice finish on that. That's a sweet guitar.
Lovely, yeah, it's a beautiful guitar, and
it's very nice.
So I said, yeah, but you know, it's going to be £1,000 that guitar, isn't it? You know, I'm not really going to spend £1,000 on it. And he said, well, because it's secondhand, I can do you a deal.
Right.
Okay, fine. So he did both guitars for £2,400. So basically, I got a guitar for £300.
Nice.
Yeah, with a case, with a proper tweed, you know, hard tweed case, with a beautiful red velvet interior.
Case. Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
all the gear. So yeah, so that was cool. So I had that for a while, and I had the Strat and the telly, and that worked okay. But of course, the telly doesn't really do what the Strat does. And you know, I play in a covers band with my friend Dave, so
right.
I play a lot of different styles of things. So I want to be able to play kind of acousticy. I've got a acoustic guitar simulation and stuff like that.
Right.
So I want it to go for all things, and the Strat is ideal for that. So then I couldn't. This Telecaster doesn't really do it. And I had one gig where not only my amp died, but the Strat died as well. So you were talking the other day about taking spares.
Yeah.
Well, I always have a spare guitar. But so this is when I bought this, which is my Chapman. I bought this for £200. And I bought it for a reason, because I thought, as you can see, it's an HSS guitar. And I thought, yeah, I could probably do something. You could probably do the humbucker will do a bit more than the Strat, but if the single coils are fairly Strat-like, then I've got a backup for my Strat.
Right.
And it's relatively cheap, and it's actually a really nice guitar. I play it all the time.
That's good.
I
like the neck. I like the neck. That looks like a satin neck finish?
Yeah, it's a satin neck finish.
Nice,
but I did some mods to it though. This is the cheating bit. I put Spurzl locking tuners on it.
Well, that's what those guitars were supposed to be, that first gen.
Yeah, modding. I also did the pickups. These are Suhr V60 pickups.
Oh wow!
And that's a Thornbucker.
Oh so man, I'm trying to get a Thornbucker.
This is very grand, but aggrandizing nonsense. But it's what's interesting about it is I've made it into kind of a pseudo Suhr guitar.
Yeah,
because it's a mahogany body, kind of obviously maple neck with a ebony fretboard and stuff. But yeah, with the pickups, so the pickups, you get a very stratty sound out of those, and a really nice kind of PAF kind of sounding, really good, and I really like it because it.
Well, I was going to say your mods cost probably 3 times what that guitar cost you.
Well, all the pickups were £150.
Really?
So they weren't very much. No, they're not.
Really
the Thornbucker's about 90, and the other ones were about the other two. The single coils were about 60 or 70. It's £150 in total.
Wow! Because
I didn't pay millions for it.
I think the Thornbuckers are over $200 Canadian.
Yeah, they weren't nearly that much here. Well, I remember I only bought one. Of course.
I think we pay a lot more here.
Yes. Yeah, the old gag. Yes, a Canadian dollar's worth about fourpence. Yes.
Yeah.
So the Strat and the Chapman are my two main gigging guitars. I also have I also got this one as well. This is a bit more vanity, really, from my point of view. The Les Paul copy, which is the Chapman ML2, which I really like as a guitar. Actually, it's got the Seymour Duncan pickups in it, not the the vintage blues ones. What are they called? The SH1 vintage blues set. Really nice, and it's got the it's got a push-pull pot that gives you the Peter Green mod.
The outer phase.
So the outer phase pickup. So yeah, it's a really nice guitar. It's got sort of, again, the satin neck. The thing I like about these is this is that's not been modded at all. But I think at the very least they're built by a guitar player. Built by somebody who understands gravity picks. I don't know what that is. What is it? I don't know.
I just wanted to say we got
gravity pick. Yes, it is.
Gravity. GTV's in the house. Party GTV.
Yes. Hi.
If anybody has any questions? Sorry, guys. I'm kind of looking at the chat. But if you've got questions or any comments you want to make, please put at Kevin Williams or at Guitar Hack. Then it lights up, and then it's much easier to see. So again, Jason made a comment. I can see it because he's got my name on it. It says, He's telling me move to America. It's cheaper to play. Yeah, but your medical is very expensive, so I'll stay here.
That's true. Yeah. It's free here, Jason. I've got bad news for you, mate. It's free here.
Well, we pay for it, but just not directly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So for kind of since the late 80s, I played in a covers band, and we went from being a 5-piece to being a 7-piece with a girl singer and a sax player and all sorts, and that, and then
when you have 7 people in your band and you're divvying up, I mean, I don't know, maybe you guys get more for a gig there than we do here, but when you spend that money, there's not a hell of a lot left.
Our joke, one of our jokes is if you're doing it for the money, you're fooling yourself, because you get 200 quid for a gig, Well, you're right, and the interesting part is that that I do it with my friend Dave. You get 200 quid for 2 of you, or 200 quid for 7. Let me tell you, 200 quid for 2 is a much better deal than 200 quid for 7.
Yeah. It's funny because like I've played with like 3 different sort of types of bands and generations. So like when I was back in the 90s, in the early 90s, when I was in my 20s, I used to play in for lack of a better term, a wedding band.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, I used to make like really good money.
Yeah.
Playing every weekend, and we played every weekend. I might have had one weekend off a year. Like, it was insane. And then there's 3-nighters, 4-nighters. It was crazy. And then later, I left that and started playing in a rock band. And I literally went from making about $300 a night to making, if I was lucky, $50 a night. Right?
Yeah.
And then so that's now we're getting into like the mid to late 90s with a rock band. Now in the 2018s, like in 20 some odd years later, 28 years later, thereabouts, 25. Now I'm making maybe $75 to $100. So it's,
you know what I mean? I rest my case. If you're doing it for the money, you're fooling yourself, aren't you? Yes,
you know what? If it pays for my gas to get there and my beer, sometimes we'll get a beer tab, so that's okay. Okay, I don't have to pay for my beer. But if I get enough for gas and pay for food if I buy any, that's a bonus.
Yeah. Oh, completely. And and we do it for the fun of it, not for the money.
Oh, I couldn't live off of that. No, I couldn't.
So yeah. In terms of, and I've seen you this. In terms of my amps, I have an old PV Delta Blues. 20 years, and an American one, not a Chinese one, an American one, which has served me really well. I bought it because this will make you laugh. Previous to it, I had a high watt 100 watt 412 cab.
Oh yeah,
which was magnificent.
And did you have a truck to carry it in?
Well, yes. I mean, absolutely. The first thing to say is that the cabinet was over. You could have lived in the cabinet. It was so heavy, an inch thick kind of plywood. It's like completely mad. But it was magnificent, but completely unusable. Because you couldn't turn it up. I mean, you talked about not turning yours up to 2. You couldn't even turn this up to 1. It would have the... you couldn't even do, because it would have the back wall of any bar you played at. You couldn't do it, and so eventually I thought, I've got to get rid of this. I've got to get a more sensible amp that I can play. That
it doesn't weigh a ton.
It's Jamal. We don't really have a jamming scene here. There's not kind of places you can go and do jam nights really at all. There may be a few around, but it's not really here at all. It's one of the things that's missing.
I got another question here. It's to me, but I'll put it to you also. Somebody's asking if I would ever buy a Gibson Les Paul Studio. Would that be interested in? Why not?
Why not?
I said, why not?
I always think those things are as much about what your budget is, first of all. So obviously, they cost less money. But also, you go and play one, find the one you like, find the one that speaks to you, And it doesn't matter if it's I don't think that has any the cost of it has no relevance at all. I mean, I'm sure I don't know how many you've got a Les Paul behind you, a really nice one. How many did you play before you got that one?
Well, this one that's behind me here, you're gonna. So I got this last year. I bought this used. It's actually pretty beat up, but I don't care.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Beaten up.
I don't care if it's got dings on it. I don't care because I'm buying it used anyway. Yeah. Anyways, I got the best deal on any guitar I've ever bought with that guitar. I went out and met a guy about an hour away from here, and he was nice enough to let me into his house, and he actually had an amp set up and everything. And I plugged this in and I played it, and I just played it for 5 minutes, and I just looked at him and I said, sold. And that's probably one of my better playing Les Pauls. And I paid $1,300 for that Canadian. And that's a 2005 Les Paul Standard. And
it's supposed to be the good ones, yeah.
Oh yeah, and a brand new, to give you an idea, a brand new Standard is about $3,400, $3,500.
Wow, yeah.
So I got a hell of a deal, and it's a fantastic instrument.
Yeah. But yeah, just going back to the amp story a bit, because sort of my sort of coda to it is having bought the PV Delta Blues, which is way loud enough. I mean, even in the band, we never played on about more than about 4, and that's with a 30-watt, valve amp. I've always said I'll only buy a bigger amp when somebody comes up and says, "Can you turn up a bit, please?" No one's ever done it. No one's ever come up to the stage and said, "Can you turn up a bit, please?"
I played a gig a couple of weeks back, and I got a little Marshall combo 40-watt head, and I played that, and it was a small footprint. It was 2 floors, but the level we were playing on was kind of small, and literally the first people sitting were literally about 5-6 feet in front of you. So how loud are you going to play? Just literally loud enough that you can hear yourself over the drummer.
Well, indeed. Do you mic the drums? I presume you don't.
Oh, in a little place like that, no. Like if we play a bigger place, we might mic the kick. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was saying earlier that I'd be lucky if I came home after a show with the beer paid and all that sort of thing. We actually had to as a band, we had to buy a new PA. So now I'm literally playing for free because all the money is going towards the PA. So, but yeah, like you said, I mean, we just do it for fun. I mean, there's no, it just gives me an opportunity to just to get out there and play music. I mean, that's really it. How often do you gig? You get a lot of.
We do them in spates. We probably do a couple a month, that sort of thing. Not.
Oh, that's a good pace. That's a good pace. Yeah.
But I've got children and stuff going on all over the place.
Oh yeah.
It's so yeah, we kind of get the beauty of being a duo for us is that in the UK there's a kind of, you don't need a music license to have a duo. You need to have a music license if you had more than 2 people. So you can kind of you can fit into small spaces, and you can do, because we have no drummer, of course, we don't have to play that loud. Yeah. Because we use backing tracks and stuff as for the drums and things, which means that your opportunities to improvise are limited, but you're quite tight.
Yeah.
Which is the thing. But so I
think that. Paul Lou. Sorry, I'm just people
thanks,
are still
Paul. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul Lou. Thanks, Gussie. People are enjoying.
My dad plays nursing homes. Well done, thrash metal. That's very cool.
He has a captive audience.
Yeah, turning up with guitars and stuff. That's really cool. But I agree. I think that it's just something that we enjoy. We get kind of little odd gigs where you can play in quite a small pub and things, and people can sit quite close to you and not get blasted away.
Yeah.
And we can kind of go, I'm in a room that's, I don't know, 20 by 20 or something, we're in a little bit, and that's fine. And that works for a lot of pubs. And you find a lot of people want it almost as a kind of, almost as a kind of background music, so they can still have a conversation, they can still, and they tap their feet and they join. It's not kind of raving up, but actually they come up and go, "That was really great," really enjoy it, and the amount of feedback you get is really good.
Yeah,
afterwards, people going, it wasn't too loud, and we could have a chat, and we could, tap along, and kind of like, and that's what a lot of people, who are my age, that seems to be just fine, and you go, okay, having played in a kind of, as you say, a kind of wedding party band for a long time, where you're looking for that audience participation.
Well, you got to get, like the band that I'm in, we were like 40 people watching. This is great.
Yeah.
We, like with the music that I do, it's sort of, our whole job is to get people up and dancing. That's what it's all about. So all the material that we play and the way we have our set structured, it's to get people up and dancing. So for us, a bad gig would be, I mean, if there was a dance floor in front of us, which there usually is, and nobody's up and dancing, then that would be, because that's what the bars wants to see. They want to see.
Well, indeed, yeah, because then people. What's interesting is that yes, we kind of got away from that a bit, kind of, and and kind of slightly. Frankly, I like it slightly better to take the pressure off yourself to kind of. To kind of perform and things and get people up dancing and there's always that constant quest for. I mean, I must say I've watched some of your videos, your live videos and stuff. And I didn't know that. What's weird is I didn't know the songs at all. There were two of them. I thought, what songs are they? I've never even heard of these. I can't consider myself somebody who knows something about music. And I had to go and look. And there was one from a sort of Canadian. I don't know. Actually, I can't remember what it was called. It's a power pop band it was 2011 or something. And do you know what I'm talking about? Kind of 3 chords thing.
Let's Shake.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it. I've never heard of the band, the original one. Never mind you do. I thought it was a good song. I've never heard of it at all.
Yeah. Teenage Head. It's a local, like Ontario, Toronto thing.
Right. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
When we break into that, everybody knows it here, right? They never broke internationally. I'm sure it's like you were saying.
Yeah.
You're mentioning bands that are really big, local, and then nobody outside of your area would really know them. Teenage Head would be that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah. So yes, that's sort of yes. Yeah. It was really interesting. Oh, blimey, I've never even heard of these songs.
Well, you know what?
Not paying attention at all. Yes.
If you YouTube Teenage Head.
Yeah,
I mean, they're basically, I'd say late 70s. They were part of that sort of punk thing, but then they were kind of punk and pop. They were punk pop before punk pop became a thing.
So they named themselves after the Flaming Groovies album.
I don't know.
Am I going too deep? In the 71, the classic year, there was an American kind of garage band, really, the Flaming Groovies. They had their big album. It wasn't that big, really, but it was called Teenage Head.
Oh, okay.
And their classic single is called Shake Some Action, which is a really good song.
Okay.
Fantastic record, yeah.
What's funny was Teenage Head was a Canadian band, and when they tried to break into the U.S., and they actually did get a U.S. recording deal, and under the stipulation that they had to change their name because the U.S. found the name Teenage Head offensive.
Yeah. Oh, I can bet that, yeah.
For their U.S. release, they had to change the name to Teenage Heads, plural.
Like Talking Heads, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they weren't successful in the U.S. They never broke into the U.S. So.
But yeah, obviously you could get away with it more in 1971 than you could in.
Yeah.
That's that's one of the other things that strikes me these days. In 1970, if you bought a record in 1971, it was absolutely no swearing, no bad language. The only record I could think of that had any kind of bad language on it at all.
Yeah.
And really not, I can't think of it. It was Money by Pink Floyd. Don't give me that do goody good bullshit. That was about it, and there weren't any. And now I can't. Unbelievable, effing and blinding all over the place.
Yeah.
That's weird, that sort of thing. But a weird aside, really. But so I've done. I play out now when we feel like it, when we've got gigs and stuff, and that's just really nice. I don't feel under a lot less pressure to play.
Yeah,
and I find that a lot more enjoyable. To be
and
honest.
You're probably going to the same place.
Fender Guru. Hey, how you doing?
Fender Guru, hey man.
Yeah, Fender Guru. Andrew's in the house. Cool.
Yeah, Fender Guru is going to be coming on in a few weeks.
Excellent. Yeah.
Oh man, that was a hell of a negotiation.
Was he demanding money? Does he want a
No,
rider?
you know, time zones.
I'm joking. It's fine.
You know, it's like I'm talking to him in the future. I'm talking to you in the future, never mind. But him, it's like, my God, he's like the next day.
I know. It's weird. Well, tomorrow, he'll go live for me. It's like 6:30 in the morning. So he'll go live in kind of, about 6 hours.
Right.
So I wake up, and kind of,
I'm
messing about.
This is where I saw you the first time. That's how I found out about you, was on Fender Guru's show. Because I had a real late night. I came back from the gig really late, and I can't get to sleep right away. And it must have been 3 in the morning. And look, it's Fender Guru's live. Oh, look, there's Simon Williams.
some maniac from the UK.
Yeah. And then and then we were on Ben's show. Ben invited
yeah, that's right.
You were back in when I still had nice weather.
Really cool. Yeah. That's right, you were sitting outside with a cigar.
Yeah, that would be me. That's how I spend most of my summer days. Trying to soak it all in, because our summers are not they don't last very long, I'll tell you that.
Hopefully you'll get sent outside to have a cigar. Not in this weather.
No, God, no. Now I smoke in my I call it my
garage or something, do you?
Yeah. I got heat and I got electricity, so I'm all right.
All right, even in the garage. So how do you gig a couple of times a week, do you? Go out.
You know what? It's funny. This year we've been on a tear, and it's crazy. We were gigging through the summer, I would say almost every weekend, right through. And what was weird was we did a gig about, not last weekend, but the weekend before, and that was the last one of the year. A gig in the wintertime. Like, I don't want to be carting gear in and out of a venue at 2 o'clock in the morning when it's
the snow,
-10 and there's snow, and I don't need that, right? Like, it's not fun at that point, you know what I mean? So we try to kind of cut it off around like this time of year, October, November. We try to cut it off. But we got a call. We've got a couple of agents now. And
that's really cool. Yeah,
and what's really cool about it is most people, like, we kind of did it backwards. Most bands, what they'll do is they'll try to get the agent right away, and they'll try because the agent basically will get you your bookings, right?
Yeah.
So the way it kind of works here is, if you want to get bookings in the better bars, you try to sell yourself to an agent, and then the agent hopefully will take you on and book you. Well, we didn't do that. We went completely our own route. We found our own gigs, right? And we were playing. We'd have, we were getting a lot of repeat business, and we were gigging on our own, and it was going quite well. And then what happened is not one but two agents kind of got wind of us, and they actually came to us and said, "Hey,"
which is really cool. Yeah.
So we didn't have to chase them because we were, but for them it's so easy because we're already established. We already had, everything, all the ducks were in a row. So it was so easy for them. So what they would do is they'd tell us, okay, what dates are you available? When are you not gigging? And then we'd say, okay, we got an open weekend here and open there and so on. And what's nice is they fill in the gaps. But because they fill in the gaps, now we play all the time,
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Pretty cool.
So anyway, so we thought we were done, and then I got a call, and they were asking for dates, and we gave them a few dates in November, and immediately they gave us 2 more shows. So I'm playing this coming Saturday, and then I'm playing at the end of the month, November 30th, and I think that might be it. December we can't do anything, but there's talk about a New Year's Eve. And I've never done a New Year's Eve show with this particular band. I don't know how it is in the UK, but New Year's Eve nights are the biggest shows of the year and the biggest money makers. Right? Like
same for us. Yeah, and I've done it. I did the Millennium one, the year 2000, 1999.
Oh wow, that would have been
we played that. Yeah, that was fantastic fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely a highlight in the gigging.
And you get a
thing.
Full house and everything else.
Yeah. Full house, food.
Yeah,
well, not the drinking is ever much a part of it because we've all got to drive home.
Yeah. And I'm sure you made more than your.
And we made a good money out of it. Yes, that was. Yes, I think we're in a 5-piece then as well. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. The best I've done two New Year's Eve gigs that were really, really memorable. One was we played to about. It was a big banquet hall, and it was about 700 people there, and we played that show. That was really good. But even better than that, the best New Year's Eve gig I ever did, and I don't think I'll ever top this in my life, is we were flown to California.
Oh, get in!
Yeah. Oh, it was Simon. I'm telling you, it was like one of the highlights of my playing career. Yeah. We had somebody from California come up, saw the band, and they wanted to hire us. So they actually paid flight, hotel to stay in California, and we played in this massive hall to probably about, I don't know, maybe 300-400 people. And we didn't have any gear. Like, I took my guitar on the plane in a wooden case that my dad made for me.
Yeah, you were saying this the other night, this massive wooden case.
Yeah. So we get to California.
Leave it to baggage handlers. That's Jamal.
Yeah,
by the way.
They hated
livid.
But the funniest thing was, so we get there. Now, keep in mind, this is like December. Well, it would have been like December 29th or 30th or something when we flew in, and it was really cold. It was like -15 here, something like that. We show up at the airport. We've got our winter coats on, and everybody's looking at us like we're aliens because we're in California. It's so super hot. And then the craziest thing was this: the guy came to pick us up in a van. And this just kind of blew. I mean, keep in mind, I'm probably 25, maybe 20. Yeah.
Jason, good night. Thank you very much. Take care, man.
Thanks, Jason, for watching. So the guy's driving us from the airport, and I'm looking out the window, and I'm looking at a couple of things that blew my mind. Number one, it wasn't cold. There was no snow. I'm looking at palm trees.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing, Simon, is I'm looking at Christmas decorations.
Santa
Claus, and everything is green. I'm like, this makes no sense.
This is wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong. It looked wrong. So the guy drove us to a music store, and there was a couple of guys that worked in the store, and they stayed late. This was after closing, and was. Imagine this: somebody takes you in a music store and says, "Take whatever you want." Imagine that for a minute, because that's what we experienced. I'm like, okay, I'm taking that amp, I'm taking that backup guitar, we're taking the lights, we're taking the PA, everything gets carted to the venue. The two guys from the store came in. We had roadies now. They set everything up. I'm telling you, I actually felt like a real musician. For one night. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible.
Somebody to carry your kit for you. That's what we all dream about, really, is it? That's the one thing we dream about.
Oh, it's great. We had lights. We had, it's awesome. But that'll never happen again. No. That was great. And they even played us on the local radio station.
Oh, fantastic. You see, but don't you think once is enough, isn't it? Just to have gone, just once is enough. That with a winner. At least you got it.
I'll never. But and what we did, my wife is a singer. She was actually the singer in that band.
Oh, okay.
So what we did was we stayed a week. So when the lady was contacting us to make the flight arrangements, we said, "Look, book us a departure a week later. Can you book us a hotel and rent us a car?" And I stayed down there for a week, and it was one of the best holidays I ever had.
Oh, fantastic. A week in California, yes.
When am I ever going to go to California again? It's the other side of the continent for me, right?
Is it, I don't know. Is it very expensive to fly to California stuff?
You know what? I don't even know.
Difficult. Yeah.
I wouldn't know what it costs now. But it was a great experience. Absolutely loved that.
Yeah. I think that I'm just trying to think of what you were talking about. The best gigs we've ever had, the best gig I ever played. We did play it in Bristol, near where I live. there's an international balloon fiesta every year.
Oh yeah,
where they have 250 balloons or 200 balloons turn up. They would inflate, and they have a kind of weekend of this kind of people taking off in the mornings and kind of flying stuff. And we played at that one year. That was really good fun as well. Fantastically good fun. Because we played the last year that they had kind of local bands and then they went all kind of radio, pop radio sort of thing the next year. So it went up a level, and they didn't really have bands anymore and their stuff. So that was something of a disappointment. But yeah, we got a proper stage and all the the usual PA and somebody mixing you and all of that.
Yeah,
which is always and that sort of thing is always fantastic fun.
Yeah, well, when we do with this band currently, like we'll play. I don't know if they have these in the UK, but they have something here called Rib Fest, right? We're like, they'll like basically. Do they have anything like that? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I presume they're Festival of Ribs, kind of barbecue things.
Yeah, what it is it's a big competition, and but like it draws a huge crowd of people, and they have it in like these big parks and whatever, and they'll have a stage and they'll have music all day long. So you show up, and they already have a back line. So you show up, and I'll bring my little combo amp. It doesn't matter what I bring because everything gets mic'd anyways. And and there's a sound guy, and he'll come over, and it's like set up your mic, and you kind of stand there like, this is cool. It's like, okay, yeah. How do I sound? Do you like the sound out of the monitor? I don't. Yeah.
What do you want to hear out of the monitor?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know. I'm not used to this. Whatever.
Crisis. Yes. Massive crisis. What can you give me?
Yeah. So it's really cool, And the best part about those gigs is, you only play for an hour. We call them a hit and run because you do it. You're done by 3 in the afternoon.
Off you go.
And you're done. Yeah, go eat some ribs.
Thank you very much. Good night. Yes, indeed.
Oh, those are great. Yeah. Shauna Marie's from California.
She's from California. Yeah, lucky her, you see.
I love California. If I could live in California, I would. Dave Mark says, the strangest thing is Christmas in Phoenix. Christmas lights on the cacti. Yeah, man.
She's in San Francisco.
She's in San Francisco. Yeah, when we were in California. Nice. Here's how naive I was. I'm staying in Redondo Beach, which is a southern part, like, of California, near basically in the Malibu area down there. Yeah. And hear now how naive I am, right? One day I get in a rental car with my wife. I'm like, hey, San Francisco doesn't look that far. Let's go up the Pacific Coast Highway. We start driving north.
3 days later, yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, we never made it. And then we kept we stopped in Malibu. We stopped in all these towns. Here's how stupid I was. Yeah, this is driving.
It looks that far on the map. How far can it
the
be?
map looks really close.
Yeah. I've been caught out in the same way in a sort of microwave. And we've been to the first time we went to Florida. Carol and I, my wife, we went to Florida for a holiday on our own. And you arrive at kind of night, in the evening. So we pick up the hire car, and of course you've got a map, and you start driving. This is pre sat nav, but so you start driving, and you've got this map, and you've got to know where you are. But what you forget is that there's this one road here, and there's another road here, and as you say, it looks about that far, but that far is about 20 miles, and you drive along and go, we must have gone too far. It's like it can't possibly. We haven't passed it. You're like half an hour. And it's like, what? And then you realise just how big it. It's like, no, you haven't even got to it yet. You need to drive some more. Well, drove round in circles for a bit.
The culture shock for you too is being from the UK. I mean, everything is relatively close.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But if you're in the US or actually Canada, like Ontario, the province that I'm in, I could go from where I am now, I could go east. Okay, and I could drive east for 4 hours before I cross into the next province.
Yeah.
If I go north, it's even longer.
Whereas
south, I'm in the States right away because I'm in the southern. Just I'm about an hour away from the US.
10 minutes. Yeah. I can be in London in 2.5 hours. You know, so and I live the other side of the country from
there
London.
there you go.
In your world, that's round the bloody corner. You know, it's like, oh, drive that for gigs. You know,
for me to drive from one end of Toronto to the other is almost an hour. Just this city that I'm in, with few schools and all that. You know.
Yeah. It's bonkers, isn't it? You forget the size of things, because the UK is very compact and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's the beautiful part of it. Like I was in Europe a few years ago, and you know, hey, you want to go to France?
Cool.
No problem. You want to go to England? It's right there. Let's go to Spain. Let's go. It's like all right there, you know. And it's absolutely. I'll tell you, Simon. We went when we went on the tour of Europe. I only spent.
Sorry, can I just Shona? I live about 15 miles south of Bristol, so I live in North Somerset. I live near Cheddar, which, if you know the Cheddar Gorge, if you lived in Somerset, I live about 5 miles from there in a village. There we are.
Well, Guitar Girl's going. Good night.
Good night, Guitar Girl KB. Take care. Thank you very much
for coming in.
Sorry, yes, it's a
I forgot what I was talking
about.
So
do you often drive like 2 hours for a gig and stuff?
Yeah.
All over the province. Yeah.
I've gone under 2 hours. I think the furthest I've ever driven is about an hour and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the gig that I'm doing this Friday is probably going to be about an hour for me. You know, and I'm still in the GTA. I'm still in the general Toronto area. Yeah, it's funny. Jeffrey, I was going to mention something, and I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it's gone. So yeah.
So, how do you choose what songs you're going to do? What are your most popular songs? What are the ones where you play them? You guaranteed get them up to dance, kind of thing.
If I tell you, you're going to laugh.
No, I won't.
Yeah, you will.
I won't. No, I've been in a covers band. Listen, there is no such thing as cheese, mate. Where I come from, it's like once you've done "Dance the Night Away" by the Mavericks, everything else is inbounds. Okay, you know. Yes.
Oh, I've got lots of cheese, brother.
Yeah. Don't worry, we've all done it. And though anybody who says they haven't, it's just their nose is growing Pinocchio style.
Well, we've done. You know what always kills is Neil Diamond, "Sweet Caroline."
They are. Yep. See,
that's money.
Absolutely. There's money. We used to do "Dance the Night Away." That would get people up. "Come Up and See Me," "Make Me Smile," "Come Up and See Me." Is that song we Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel?
See, that's probably more of a local thing. I don't know that one.
Well, no, they were big. It was a massive hit in the UK. But yeah, you can't fail to play. And "Brown Eyed Girl."
Yeah, we do "Brown Eyed Girl" also.
"Brown Eyed Girl." Yeah. Yes, that's a bona fide classic. Get them up dancing.
The "Sweet Caroline" works even more so than "Brown Eyed Girl" because everybody sings along with it.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, absolutely.
We actually get the bar. Like, that's the one thing, like, we try to get them involved as much as possible, and they love that. I'm trying to think what else kills.
You say, Shona Marie, I live in her husband's from Weston-super-Mare, which is about 6 miles from where I live. I live in a village called Winscombe, which is between Cheddar and they are. So her husband's from Weston-super-Mare, which is... See, the world is so big, and yet there's still somebody there I've never met whose husband comes from 6 miles down the road.
So
which is very cool.
I know it's getting really late for you, Simon. I don't want to keep you long.
Straight to one, yes.
Yeah.
We're trampling all over bends as well. Like,
I just wanted to make I mentioned a couple of things to anybody that's still in the chat. One thing I should have. Well, we were at 40 people. We still got a fair number of people. 25.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
But a couple of things. On Thursday, I'm going to be having a chat with Shane from In the Blues is coming.
Oh, excellent.
On the show. Yeah, it absolutely blew me away when he agreed to do it. Yeah, very gracious of him. So
he's a really good supporter of smaller channels, isn't he? Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that and talking to Shane. So Shane will be on Thursday. I usually do a solo show, but that was his availability, so hey, whatever, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got Shane from In the Blues coming on Thursday. And also, I officially broke 200 subs.
You did, yeah, 209.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't. Yeah, see, 209. I was 210 earlier.
Sorry, I may have lost you a few. That's bad.
Yeah, I think I sank myself. But you know what? It's because I didn't want to mention it because you know how it is. You go up a few, you go down a few, you go up a few, and it's kind of.
According to my phone, you're back up at 210. So you're all right.
That was quick. So there you go. So because it's been kind of fluctuating, I didn't want to make an announcement, but I did crack 200 subs. So I'd like to thank everybody very much for supporting me and supporting the channel. And I mentioned this at the conclusion of every show, and that is, you know, my channel is, again, it's all about supporting everybody, you know, and please sub everybody that's in the chat today. Below, I've got a bunch of subscriptions in my description. Please sub to all those people below. If you haven't subbed to me already, please sub, please like the video. And then if I've got also all my channels, I list everybody I'm sub to. I've got some fantastic people. So please sub to everybody, support everybody. Let's keep this thing going, and let's keep this a positive environment. Shauna Marie's asking, what is Simon's YouTube channel? Simon, you don't have any content.
I don't have a YouTube channel. I'm too busy. Yes, that's maybe the future for me, but currently I don't have one. So don't worry about subscribing to me. It's fine. I don't have the time, to be honest. To, you know, it's kind of, you know, here I'm, you know, I've just, you know, my middle daughter and my wife had gone to bed 20 minutes ago. So, you know, to be able to kind of sit down and record some stuff and even record myself playing, it's just too difficult, to be honest. When they get a bit older, I might do some stuff, but my younger daughters are 12 and 14.
You have an audience whenever you do decide that you want to do. That's why.
Thank you very much. It's very kind.
Yeah, I put my guest YouTube channels in my links, but I saw that you didn't have any content, and I'm like, well, should I tell people to go to your channel?
No, don't. No, it's fine.
But I didn't want to.
I have subbed to Shauna Marie's channel, so I'm pleased about that. So already.
Yeah.
So
yes. So please up to everybody. Let's keep this. It's all a positive environment. So check out Thursday's show with Shane from In the Blues, and then I have another guest coming on Monday, and I think it might be Cheddar Kung Pao is going to be with me.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that should be
He's
fun.
A good guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So check it out, folks. Again, thank you, Simon, so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a blast, as they say. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, fantastic. Anytime. Thanks, everybody. Hold on for a minute, Simon. Thanks, everybody, for popping in. Appreciate you all.
Take care, everyone in the chat. It's been really cool of you to hang out. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the 200 subs. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on Thursday. Cheers, everybody. Take care.
Take care, all. Bye.
Bye-bye.